And so slight down from Friday's close. Looks like it might complete the gap fill. Friday's gap. NQ went to take out the highs. Sitting below the centroid. Oh man, I would have loved an upside pivot test. Volatility is tested. Normally it should decline here and grind upward towards 72.45. If there would only exist mechanical flows. Upside pivot 72.35. Target is very strong pin. But to climb there, 7260 test to skew heavily. Markets need fuel to do so. If volume is low, 7260 will be a rejection back to 72.45. Our spot will grind up. Momentum kicks in, target can be reached, but at 7260 it can come down. Alright. Straddle. Okay, we opened at 21. Straddle was 31. Downside pivots at 7206. Target 71. 4.9. Pivot is a mid probability reversion line back to the centroid primarily. To reach the target 71.75, test the momentum heavily. Action is negative, especially on Tuesday, meaning the market expects volatility to act inversely to realize moves. Soma is very flat in the middle of the range. Wednesday, upside drift, mechanical and structural, relatively low vol. 7220 below the chain 0, charm 0. 200 dealer longs, 72,000 plus. Comes to support anchor, pin likely at 7200. My candidate 7200 center. Oof, I don't know if I like that. If they hit the trough, oh sorry, the gamma peak. This positive gamma or positive positioning cluster between 7215 all the way up to 7250, maybe 45. I'm thinking 7255 holds this down, but we've already got the bounce off of 7215. I believe that's a low so far, yeah. Hey, Koshik. I got back on, or I just got on looking on Friday, and I was watching NQ kind of move up and down and just range around. But I noticed ES really started coming down towards that gap fill. NQ is a little wild. Well, I would say range bound. But it was just interesting to see how ES was pushing further and further down on Friday. It didn't complete the gap fill on Friday. I think it got about halfway. Not even halfway. 72.30. And the gap is probably around 72.10, 72.15. But yeah, here are the levels for today. Everything should be updated. The straddle is about 31 points. I think I just had it adjusted to 72.20, but I think we opened 1 point higher than that. And I just ran up with 30 points as a straddle. And then right now the straddle is measured at 26. So at around 9:18, it was 31 points. And then 9:39, which is right now, 26 points. $72.2, $72.2, $72.22. Okay. And 72.73. I like 7.3 is for 2.2. It looks like it's an order block test. If we're talking ICT. 72.2. What was that overnight or pre-market? 71.86 SPX. I personally wanted to see a little bit lower on that spike down. I think we went to 72.14. I wanted to see like under 72.10. From a volume profile perspective. Yeah, on ES. Looks like we're just chopping it up right now. There's like a slight gap this morning, and I wanted to see that gap fill and maybe test 72.35, see how it goes from there. So I would like an overnight high liquidity grab. Yeah, that spike down that we got this morning at about 6:15 was from Iran attacking a US ship, a US Navy ship. And I believe the US denied that happened, which is why we're right back up to the middle range. Yeah, aside from that, I think I've been seeing a lot of posts about the war, and the one that kind of resonates with me happens to be right now the US is trying to manage sentiment and manage the narrative about the Iran-US war. So the US is going to park there and essentially bait Iran into attacking them. So that way the US is forced to attack during a period where I guess the US has said that they are currently in a ceasefire, and if Iran attacks them, then they broke the rules of the ceasefire, and now the US will attack Iran once again. And that basically gives the political approval, I suppose, or it should keep his ratings up, Trump's ratings up, leading into the November midterms. So that way the Iran war is not something caused by the US. Especially because the US said, hey, we tried to stop it. Mind you, I don't know how much trust is placed on the current administration, because there's been so many times when they blatantly lied and or said one thing would happen but something else happened. So I think right now it's just almost like a waiting game until the US are forced to attack Iran. I think that's the narrative that kind of works best, or makes the most sense. The midterm elections I think a lot of attention is going to be paid on the midterm elections. And I believe currently the Trump administration doesn't look good. They have a low approval rating, which means they're going to lose seats. And if they lose seats, they won't be able to make all the decisions anymore. They won't have like a majority government. Hence why Trump is trying to do whatever it takes. He's trying to keep the market up as far up as possible. Also managing the narrative in order to keep the markets up. But yeah, aside from that, I'm not seeing too much in the news. SMT at highs right now? Yeah. That SMT looked pretty nice. Discord. Abshan. Oil pipeline. Wow, so they're going to do a pipeline in hopes of bypassing the Strait of Hormuz. That looks pretty good. Now, is this like a real prospect? Like, are they actually trying to do this? Oh, UAE came out of OPEC? So, so they're not going to get their pipeline then. Or they're going to charge every country that uses it basically like a tariff or a tax. Oh, it's an oil field. Okay. So what sorry, I might have misinterpreted this. I thought that that a lot of countries are going to able to dock at the UAE and push oil through this pipeline to skip the Strait of Hormuz for the most part. But you're saying that this is a UAE plan, and they're going to increase production in order to basically meet the needs of the world through their pipeline. Yeah, that's true. It doesn't really cost them much to pull it out of the ground, right? Interesting. What an opportunity for the UAE. So is India and I guess UAE, you're thinking they're working together on that. And would they then ship oil to China? Like if this is a US China thing, if this is a US China thing, is the UAE now shipping oil to China? Like they don't really care. Oh, I see. Just to everywhere else that needs the oil. Like Southeast Asia, I would imagine, is like a big... Iran is to China. Yes. Okay. That makes sense. So UAE still seems to be UAE to India. Okay. Is that like a potential regional war happening? Like I know India and Pakistan they've always had like this ongoing war on the north side. But if they're partnering with these Middle Eastern countries, what are these? Are they just partnering up for oil, or are they partnering up for military reasons too? Oh, it's a defense pact. I see. That's weird. Similar to NATO Article 5. Gotcha. But so that means Saudi will help out Pakistan in the case that Iran attacks. But what happens if India attacks? Because like I know the two has like an ongoing war, right? Pakistan and India. Or is it just a rivalry? Gotcha. Now, when British divided India based on religion, the ongoing war is a religious war, basically Muslim against everything else, or is that Muslim and Hinduism? And the reason why I say that is because I think Pakistan is like 90% Muslim, right? Or something high like that. Pakistani military only gets its defense budget if there is a war with India, so they constantly try to pick a reason to fight. Oh man. Brutal. I suppose that is how government works, right? You need to have a need for government to allocate funds. Oh, that's brutal. India is how many percent Muslim would you say? And it's only like the north regions, correct? That's pretty low. Yeah, I'm not loving any trades here. Yeah, hopefully I don't have any stream issues like I did on Friday after the update. Yeah, I agree. This war has been a long time in the making. I think when they were running back in 2020, Trump was saying, I think Biden was saying at the time that if Trump wins, he's going to start a war with Iran or vice versa. I think the same thing happened. It might have been Trump that said Biden would start a war with Iran, if I remember correctly. And that was back in 2020. So there was ongoing plans for this war. Venezuela was a little bit of a surprise for me. But I think the war on Iran was very telegraphed. It was in the tea leaves, if we say. And all this to kind of geopolitically position for potential war with China. Yeah, I think that was a gap fill pullback. It was only about 5-6 points or something. Oh, he did. Interesting. I completely missed that. But it does make sense. Like I understand it. But I think he like renamed the Gulf of Mexico. Like to like the US Gulf or something like that. I don't remember the name exactly, but and I remember they were trying to secure the canal, the Panama Canal. I guess I shouldn't have been surprised about the Venezuela thing, but yeah, you do bring up a good point. Oh, yes, yes. That would make a lot of sense. Cuba. It's funny because it feels like the 60s again or something. I think that's when they had the Cuban missile crisis. I'm not sure what's happening here. It looks like we're getting somewhat of a pullback off of the gap fill. I just wonder what happens to Europe, because Eastern Europe is almost always in a war. Yeah, that's right. You're right about ICT. Yeah, they're all gearing up. Yeah, I think most of Eastern European is gearing up for a potential fight. At Northeast uh, European area, like Sweden, Finland, I know they built their infrastructure to allow. They basically have a bunch of underground malls that convert into large bunkers, and it has like water supply and everything for potential Russian aggression. But yeah, the way I see like the whole Trump and NATO thing, like I know NATO hates Trump right now, um, but it also gave NATO the the cover to basically start spending money militarily. So all that Trump hate, all that Trump going for Greenland and the whole nine, it kind of gave a lot of the EU cover to spend money militarily and boost their spending. Because I don't think they had, like, I remember the first Trump term, he called out a lot of Europe for not spending the 2% of GDP on military. So now Europe is kind of trying to spend the money in hopes of building up a reasonable army to defend themselves because, quote unquote, Trump won't come. But in reality, I think the US has to fight elsewhere. They have a bigger fight elsewhere. And they would, I think only the US would have the capabilities, maybe along with Japan, but and South Korea, but technically only the US has the capabilities to kind of go after China. Yeah, that too. It's all about money. Yeah, that's a good point. It's a very good point. Give me a few minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yeah, go ahead. You can definitely delete some. I thought we're too small for them to care, I would think. All right, so Alma's weekly overview. Yeah, I guess it's better if we went back to markets anyways, but Alma's weekly overview sounds like it's primarily an upside drift for the start of the week. Thursday would be the turbulent outlier, most likely session for a pullback or an intraday reversal. All feedback loops activate. And Friday, high R vol, but mean reverting. If price ran up during the week, expect a Friday retest. Range bound resolution in the base case. Yeah, Palantir is nuts. It's kind of amazing what Palantir can do. But I want to say, I'm not judging either side for what they do. I just need to know what's happening in order for me to be able to trade it, if you will. Mildly bullish drift, stable, low vol. So nothing really anticipated to happen today. And we're approaching that 72.40 that I wanted to see. Oh, actually, we've already rejected it. Oh, man. $72.40. I'm tempted. I am very tempted. 72.40 was an intraday level. It used to be positive. 72.60 is the daily level. Yeah, we're not far from the overnight highs. I want to try this though. I'm not going to be asking for much. It's not like my greatest setup though. And it already mean reverted a little. So I'm not really confident in this play. The 72.40. 72.40. Yeah, like we've already pulled back 4 points off of it on a slow day like today. I'm gonna give it a shot on one account and see where this goes. This is strictly a play off of the options depth charts, or the breakdown by strike, I should say, which I don't love. I normally like a little bit of confluence, and everything does kind of seem like it still wants to drift up. How'd you come up with the discount 1 level? Friday's levels from SPY. Okay. Like I know that your POC 1, your discount 1 would be value area low, correct? POC is at 44. Okay, yeah, I see the POC. Val discount. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. I think that's the most the pullback's going to give me. I gave 4 points. Maybe I should have been happy there. 4 points. YM is still moving, trying to push up here. Yeah, maybe I should have taken the 4 points. My risk was only, what, 3? Definitely wasn't watching close enough. Yep, that took me out. I was actually looking for the VI, the volume imbalance on the 5 minutes, and it didn't get it. I think that would have been 5 points. But yeah, it just wasn't Wasn't a great play. I'm trying to think of it. 73. It's not an overnight high. Pretty close, but like the real overnight high is at 80. I lost about 3 points on that play. Side pivot is 72.35. All right, upside pivot is 72.35. Target is 72.74. SPX. Target is a very strong pin, but to climb there, pivot and 72.60 tests to skew heavily. Market needs field to do so. If volume is low, 72.60 will be a rejection back to 72.45, while spot will grind up. If momentum kicks in, market can be reached, but at 72.60 it should calm down. From there, target is heavily magnetic. Straddle right now. $19.5. Yeah, straddle is extremely low. Hey, there's a interesting post here for funded next. They were the forex firm turned into or that opened up a futures division, but it's they seem to be offering Indian creators. This one's for you. Funded Next is building a small cohort of upcoming creators in India, and we want you in it. Step-by-step process. Fill out a form. We review your profile. If selected, you get a challenge account up front. Post day 1 with Funded Next, day 2, all the way to day 30. Complete the 30-day challenge and you earn another challenge account. No gimmicks. You create, we fund the challenge. This isn't a one post collab. This is a 30-day journey that could launch your creator career in the trading space. And we're putting a real challenge account on the line to back you. Spots are limited. We're being selective. I sent you the form just in case. Yeah, they want creators, not traders. You got to be very hand wavy. Yeah, offer free account. 30 days. It's a huge commitment. I don't know why they chose India. Let me see. Yeah, I'm not sure why. They didn't say why India specifically, but this giveaway is specifically for India. Yeah, I think so too. Hang on. Why can't you trade live Forex or futures account in India? Because I know that Raja Banks guy, I know he was promoting heavily to well, a lot of guys were watching him trade and they're from India, if I remember correctly. And I thought they were trying I thought he was trying to promote them trading. And he also has a platform that he created after the fact. And I believe it runs out of Dubai. And I thought that a lot of guys, I thought he was trying to gain traction with the, I guess, India's population. Into regulations, Indian residents are eligible to trade all available products in domestic Indian markets, including futures and options. On non-Indian markets, Indian residents are prohibited from trading futures, options, or margin-based products, but are permitted to trade stocks, bonds, and ETFs. So you can do long-term stock trading, no options, brutal. Long-term stock trading and bonds, if trading international, right? If you can trade Indian markets, including futures and options, are there like ETFs or funds that list on the Indian market that track like the S&P 500 or any other foreign indexes? Don't get me wrong, I would not want to trade options on Vanguard ETFs to day trade. VIX is climbing here. I see. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense then. That's a good point. Wow, so prop firms is a saving grace. But really, statistically, they're preying on people. Basically taking their money. I was looking at ChatGPT, or not ChatGPT, I was using Claude to read the gamma and charm charts and positions based on the daily. So no intraday update. And it seemed to have favored a move towards 72.60. And I'm taking a look at vol signals, and he seems to believe a pin around 72.50. It should be reflected on the convergence of blue above yellow on the R. Okay. C to 45 test engaged frequently today. Last bit of movement around it doesn't inspire confidence, to say the least, but technically it is still a weak supportive bid through the day's end. Positive gamma growing quite large in this range. The profile, as I see it, shows us currently chewing through 10.1 billion in dealer gamma. This move would probably be 3 to 5x as large if we were in a neutral gamma profile. Odds favor pullback eventually today, unless we clear 72.55 to the upside. Warning position level, which would help to entrench us in the charm up path throughout the day. If we clear 72.55, then my sights are set on 72.70 to 75 for the landing. If we reverse in this range, I'd target Friday's close 72.30 as a center of my flies. I guess the question is, if this is a good place to short, I don't disagree with that. I actually agree with it. You got NQ getting really close to its high a day. ES close to its London highs. I don't think anything really needs to sweep here. Yeah, 72.60 would be value area high on Friday. Wow, I hope you took it. I don't know. It seems like such a big move today. But then I look at the 15-minute chart and it's a very normal looking candle. OOT. UAE, our air defense systems are currently responding to a missile threat. Huh. So was that it? Yeah, VIX is still climbing. VIX has bottomed since 10:30. 10:20, 10:30, around there. Oh, it looks like we're running down now. Really wanted to see a retest, but I didn't get it. Let me check the straddle. Straddle's at 22.3, so it's definitely ticked up. It's interesting because the VIX was diverging from the SPX move. Beautiful move. It's funny, I was looking at NQ2. I just didn't, I was looking at the 1 minute though. And I wanted a retest, but I didn't get it on the 1 minute. Yeah, on the 2 minute, that looks a lot nicer. Or at least I think it. Let me see. Oh yeah, I'm shocked you were able to get in when you got in. Yeah, there's no retest on the 2 minute either. Nothing on the 1 minute. Good scalp. Went right back to that VWAP area, which happens to be around the SPX centroid. We're back to a straddle of 20 now. Now everything is slow again. Almost like a no charm impact zone. There's actually very little charm influence today. That's insane. 72, yeah. Like we're talking about near zero. And positive gamma. Straddle for NQ. Not easily for me, but I definitely can pull it up still. I just need to use like interactive broker. Let me see if I can do it. Suppose it would be NDX. There you go. I'm actually not sure if I have updated data for it. Give me one sec. Yeah, I don't think my data is up to date for NDX. Let me see if I can pull it up for NQ. It's futures options, but it'll have to do, I guess. Yeah, that looks more correct. I would say about 60 points on NQ for a straddle right now. Yeah, maybe more like 55 points, 59 points. It's fluctuating a little, but it's taken directly off the options chain. Which doesn't seem like much for an NQ. The centroid is at 72.28. Here volatility is tested. Normally it should decline here and grind upward towards 72.45 if there would only exist mechanical flows. But we all know mechanical flows is just part of the picture, so take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, you're right. I cannot see what the straddle was like an hour ago or even 15 minutes ago. Like, I can only tell what the straddle is currently based on the options chain. But yeah, the only thing I'm able to see is only because vol signals has it pre-calculated. Yeah, like at the high, the straddle for SPX are sitting around like 17. And we've already moved 17 points from there, I believe. Yeah, already about 20 points. And that was a good short. Good for you, Go Koshik. I would have wanted to see a little higher. And I wasn't really... I was kind of looking at the 1 minute, but not... I wasn't paying that close attention to the 1 minute. NQ tested a fair value gap, though, for continuation short. Yeah, that was a good trade. I think you traded it well. I know you didn't capture like the full move, but I think it managed well, because a lot of times last week we would have broken even on a lot of those plays. Damn. Okay. What's happening now? That was negative 1,000 tick, which is normally when algos do like a mass sell. Negative 1,000 tick. And that's a full gap fill there. Downside pivot. Am I nuts for wanting to play this long, potentially? Oh, it is just dumping right now. Okay, UAEs, Fujairah. Fire erupts in petroleum industrial site following drone attack from Iran. Sounds like escalation. Now some US official will say that's fake news, and then we'll climb right back up. And that was a mispriced straddle. Amazing. And the price of oil just went up insanely. Wow. See, the VIX had bottomed quite a bit earlier there. So it's kind of, I felt like that one was trying to tell us something. Where ES and VIX diverged quite a bit. Let's see, the target is 7154 SPX. Oh, that's quite a bit lower. To reach the target, 7175 tests momentum heavily. That spread trade is big and will break the move. 7175. Target is reverting us back to 7175 where the whole supportive flow is clustering. Like 7222. Got pretty close to there. And 70, I got really close to 27,700 too on NQ. But I got nothing. Yeah, that would be a very nice setup. I agree. Yeah, I have nothing here. I wanted to potentially play a bounce off that 7200 on SPX as like a whole number bounce. But there just wasn't anything there for me to play off of. Besides it being a whole number. We're sticking around a downside pivot. Alma had initially said the downside pivot would act very well, it is a medium probability reversion line. I'm not sure what that means, but she likes to call them low, medium, and high probability reversion line. And I think right now we're hanging out at the downside pivot. We overshot the downside pivot quite a bit. Well, by like 6 to 8 points, I think. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you on that one. But I kind of learned, I think it's really hard to confirm whether or not it'll be a trend day or a range day. And I thought the best way was going to be like the gamma charts. Then after that, I learned that, okay, it doesn't matter so much. And then I thought it would be better, like Alma would predict it much better. But even with her, it's like hit or miss. And it's based on positioning. But it's really hard, like, because if like you have dealer hedging flows on the gamma and charm side as one possible flow, and then on the Alma side, she also adds a lot of implied volatility and volatility in general. She adds that in along with the dealer hedging flows and a few other things. And even then, her predictions aren't very, they're okay. Like, for instance, she might say range, but it might be a wide range day. So like, for instance, today, I'd say we still trended reasonably for about 40 points, right? Almost 40 to 50 points. That was a very nice trend move. But we could close in the middle of range still. So it's really tough, I think. And on a range, on an actual true trend day where we just started high and ended up low, for instance, and like 70 to 100 points low, it's really hard to even get in the middle too. Like, and it's hard to hold, I find, because normally your take profits are at key liquidity zones or key volume profile zones. But on those trend days, it doesn't respect any of it, is what I find. Now, I am a strong believer that you have multiple positions. As you had said before, like, instead of take one ES position, take 10 of them, right? 10 MES. And the idea there is to hold and always hold one or two of them to break even. Like, once the move has once the move has confirmed, I guess you either hold to break even, or if it's a small, if you're out on top anyways, then maybe, and it's a small stop loss, maybe it's worthwhile just leaving your stop loss where it was. Like today, I would not anticipate us to come back up and hit that stop loss at the high of day. But again, that's something that's easily said, hard to practice in real time. Because oftentimes it would run quite a bit and then it would chop around a little for me and then somehow hits my break-even stop loss and then it'll run again. But if you have, let's say you have more than 50% of your position off, so there's no risk to the trade, and you believe in a thesis, why not hold to your stop loss, potentially? I think one of the issues that I've had with that statement is, if I believe in my thesis and I hold, a lot of times it kind of just messes around and then it would happen the next day. So like maybe it's like consolidation that's kind of like building up towards the end of the day. So my targets won't hit. And because my targets don't hit, it actually plays out the next day. And we can't hold overnight, right? With prop firms. It's a tough one. It's a very tough one. I still think the right choice is probably having more positions and out for a decent profit, and then leaving small positions with a small stop loss to the stop loss. But maybe the right answer has always been you can't catch the whole move, and you catch your high probability move, get your 10 points, and get out. No one can predict the market. Maybe that's the right answer. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you on that one. Like today, I think if playing downside and you entered where you entered, I think the real target is the overnight lows. But only 1 or 2 out of your 10 runners might see that, if at all. So like most of your positions should be off, right? And then the problem with, and this is my problem actually, if I do leave runners, or if I'm playing it to a certain liquidity level, when it comes back, it hits you up, it like ticks you out at your break-even stop loss, or maybe it ticks you out. And then the next day, something similar happens. You're like, you know what? I better take profit before it ticks me out again. Because I basically saw 10 points or 20 points go back to 0. And if that's the case, like it's really hard to be consistent and constantly hold for that big trend day towards like a major liquidity level. At least that's my issue anyways. Yeah, I think the setup might be forming here. You're right. I didn't get in though. I didn't get an IFVG. Oh yeah, okay. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. It doesn't look horrible. It actually looks pretty good. Especially with that 5-minute close. Or I do want to see this run up to Centroid. Which is probably around VWAP. About 25 points up. Yeah, almost, maybe just above VWAP. Oh man, the 1-minute ES just looks like consolidation. I'm not getting anything from it. But yeah, I remember you saying NQ is much better, and I would agree. YM took the low of day there. It's okay. This is it. This is definitely worth a shot, I think, especially if you took M and Q, and if you're up for the day. Unlike me, I'm down for the day by 3 ES points. I think it's worth a shot. YM is definitely heavy. It's trying to pull ES down with it. NQ is kind of doing okay. Now, hopefully it sets up a nice divergence here. Gold is actually taking a hit too. Come on, do an SMT. There's the SMT. There you go. There you go. Wow. What the heck was that? Okay. Something about that was a little bit funky. That was such a wild 1 minute candle. But I like it now. I just don't know what the target is. I also didn't get an entry, believe it or not. But we're getting the SMT, which is quite nice. You're going for 840? Yeah, that would be nice. I think that's the real target, but what I'm afraid of is a value area high rejection. Oh, sorry, value area low. But I do want to see VWAP. Yeah, I think I'm gonna try this one. All right, late entry for me. Extremely late entry. Yeah, I'm not in love with that either. I get the feeling that either ES or NQ wants to sweep the low of day. It's like a dangling carrot. But the risk is quite high for me. I'm only taking it on the eval account. I'm just not confident enough to take any trades on the live account. Like when the stars align, then I would consider taking it in the live account. Yeah, exactly. I just don't have enough confidence. There's not enough confluence for me to take this on a live account. Amazing. Look at this. All right, this is it's not looking good for me, especially where I entered. Definitely baited me in. Yeah, I think it does want to go for the overnight liquidity level. That should take me out soon. Yeah, I know, it's just teasing. It definitely sucked me into a really bad entry. Normally I would not take that entry, but I was like, hey, why not? It's an eval. That was the reasoning in my head. But the risk was a little large for my liking. And that ticked me out. I hope the divergence might still hold for you. Yeah, that's good. And you're playing with profits too. I'll watch for the sweep and then see if we roll a little bit further beyond the sweep. If we get it. All right, there's your sweep. That's the overnight lows. Big volume move. Negative 1,000 tick again. $75. Yeah, that was 75. Yeah, that's a good call. I'm just watching just to see if there's any potential setup off of this. Normally I would play off the sweep, and today I played off no sweeps, so I'm not really following my primary rules. I'm just messing around at this point. Which is not a good thing. Oh, VIX also swept too. Interesting. Do you mean like to the long side this morning? It was like price was struggling to the long side? Or do you mean right now? Yeah, the market in general, just market internals, are based off of what Alma tracks anyways. And even Vol Signals mentioned it, and he was looking for a potential upside drift. But to the downside, Alma had seen a short spread at 71.75 and 71.50. So far, we bounced off 71.75, and 71.75 kind of works in a sense as a potential buy up, mainly because we had swept some sort of overnight liquidity level. That's how I kind of saw it anyways. But the short spread does provide support between the 71.50 to 71.75. Now, I didn't see that. Oh, I guess we can kind of see it on the daily level. So if I pull up, so you can see 71.75 and then 71.50. And this would be supportive in this region here. But for the long side, I think everyone thought that it was a positive drift up. And we did get a positive drift up. It was very slow. They weren't anticipating any momentum. And this was just a read based off of the gamma charts, I believe. And oh, I have no idea what, ever since they updated OptionsDepth last Friday, the data doesn't seem to be overlaying properly. And also we had touched 71.75, I believe. So the lowest candle should be somewhere around here. Creating a very supportive area, 71.75, 71.50, creating a very supportive area, and you will see that speed profile also marks that zone. Nice trade. Customers are buying volatility into both directions, a bit of asymmetry to the downside. Net speed profile is flat to positive. I think the market is more like, there won't be a downside. You overreacted. Volume will be low like Trump's approval rating. It's funny. But also from a daily level, I was looking at was looking at SPX daily chart. Or SPY daily chart, regardless of which one you choose. I think just based on the top wick that formed on the daily on Friday, I was anticipating downside move, but we ended up drifting up a little. It made me think that we might see some sort of sweep before running lower, but that didn't happen. Well, the sweep on ES didn't happen. I don't even think it happened on NQ. But as you said, the SMT divergence overnight at the highs was kind of nice for a down move. But in theory, I was biased down until I saw us grind up. And I only tried that one down move, which was a little bit early from where you had entered. I think, actually, I think we probably had similar entries, except I was on one side of the peak and you were on the other side of the peak. But just based on the daily, I would have said downside is the play. I think even ES did a top wick too. NQ did not, but NQ also went higher and did like a nice SMT divergence overnight. But the pullback seems very reasonable. Downside weekly pivot is set at 71.56. Oh, you gotta head. Oh, that's a good point. We did hedge and shoulder. Time frame was that 1 minute time frame? I love a good head and shoulders. But the ES did not do a nice shoulder. Not in the same way that NQ did, anyways. But if you're thinking about it from like an ICT perspective, I think the reason why a head and shoulder works is, or you can call it Wyckoff theory or whatever. That high that was made at around 1044, that run up between 1037 and 1044, the topping process, it would be considered a spring, or like Wyckoff would consider that a spring after a consolidation. And I think ICT does the accumulation, manipulation, and distribution. So we call everything before that, before 1038 or 1037, was accumulation. Manipulation is the spring, which is the high, and then it distributes to retest, and then retest that fair value gap, IFVG, whatever you want to call it, and or previous, like it's like the consolidation highs. So if you retest consolidation highs, I suppose that's why that's technically why the head and shoulders work. From a volume profile perspective, the consolidation highs would have been the edge of the node, which I think it was, come to think of it. Funny, I kind of wanted to play along there, thinking that 75 would have been the bottom, or 7200 ES. Damn. Yeah, I personally like it from a volume profile perspective. So here's the head and shoulder on NQ that you're looking at, and then I put like a dotted orange line around where the edge of node would be. Yeah, a yellow or orange dotted line showing where that edge of node is. So that's why you think, this is the reason why you think head and shoulders work? And you always hear like ICT, or not ICT, but ICT traders talk about AMD as in accumulation, manipulation, distribution, or some call it power of three, which is the exact same thing: accumulation, manipulation, and distribution. And when they draw it out, it looks exactly, it looks like, well, it looks like your silver bullet, but the silver bullet essentially kind of plays off of the idea, like the head and shoulders is some form of the silver bullet or the unicorn theory or whatever ICT theory you want to follow. Yeah, well, that's the hope, but I'm not getting the holy grail. That's why I follow like OptionsDepth, all signals, and that's why I try to use OptionsDepth, right? I think there's a lot of information on OptionsDepth. And then some people use like I personally set an alert if you've ever heard of the ticker TICK, TICK, on TradingView, I set an alert on TICK for -1,000 and +1,000. And the reason why I do that is because algorithms, when they're forced to sell or buy, you get you get the tick reading of about 1,000 plus or minus. That's the theory behind it anyways. You can probably use Claude or ChatGPT Copilot or something to kind of figure out why it works. But ever since someone had told me about it, and it's a lot of the I guess a lot of the day traders on Wall Street, a lot of them like to reference it, and they call them market internals. And the 1,000 tick, whenever that alert pops up for me, it basically tells me, hey, watch out. Don't expect this to move any further down because big money just made that same exact trade. And oftentimes we get a nice bump up. So for instance, I have a tick indicator on the 5-minute interval. And the first time that I got a 1,000 tick was 11:15. And then the next time I got a 1,000 tick, which was more convincing because it ended up reading like -1,200, was at 12:05. It's just something that I pay attention to. 12:05 candle. And the 12:05 candle on ES and NQ happened to be the low of the day. So I often just have, I don't watch the tick chart at all. I just set an alert just to give me an idea of when algos or CTAs or something is selling, like big money. Just put like an order in. And then whenever it gives me that indicator, like let's say you got a head and shoulder to the upside. Head and shoulder, IFVG retest, all the same, right? Yeah, 1 minute head and shoulders, I see it. The neckline is a bit funky, but I love a good head and shoulders, don't get me wrong. The head is always considered the manipulation part. The shoulder, the shoulder on the left side of the price, like the left side of the head, the left shoulder, is normally where the consolidation occurs. So the head is the manipulation, and then the other shoulder is the retest of the previous consolidation zone. On the 5-minute, that's an IFVG retest. The head and shoulders. Starts off this question: if a trader on a trading desk is trading head and shoulders, what would be the confirmation to enter? Is it volume? Is it momentum? Is it options data? Or just pattern entry? I personally think it's just pattern entry. Like, don't get me wrong, the volume comes from the manipulation process. If thinking about it from an ICT perspective, thinking about it from a Wyckoff perspective, I would say it's the spring. The spring has high volume. And then it gives it enough bounce to push to the upside, or to reverse the trend, if you will. Yeah, I am of the opinion that, like, I think Forrest said this, and basically you don't trade anything in the middle. You have to wait for something to happen, and nothing happens until you sweep the high of day, low of day, previous day low, previous day high, or a swing low, swing high on a higher time frame. So the idea is basically don't trade unless something has happened, and nothing has happened unless a liquidity has been taken. Which in theory is no different from the 2022 model. Take liquidity and wait for some sort of silver bullet unicorn entry from ICT. But everything has to be off liquidity. And today I traded nothing off liquidity. So I got a give myself a slap on the wrist on that one. Yeah, because depending on what you follow, okay, I'm just looking at the 5-minute 1205 candle. We swept. NQ, ES swept. It was good. You also got the negative 1000 tick indicator. That basically said, hey, it's like an algo move was like, hey, we all sold right there. And once that happens, it's normally like a good indicator that, hey, we're going to get a nice bounce up. And then the next 5-minute candle closed doji. It suggests indecision for the most part. And I think had I seen that, I would have considered a better long entry off the doji, risking about 10 points. But so far the target has not hit either. Like, say my first target would have been value area high. That would have been just 10 points higher. No, sorry, 20 points higher from that entry. I also have like a friend who creates bots to trade for him, and his bot is a momentum based bot. So a lot of entries look really bad, and it's on a daily time frame, but his hit rate is pretty good, so long as you're willing to sit through the negative, like some drawdown, if you will. But that's a momentum trader. Like he follows a bunch of momentum indicators. Yeah, I don't think it's invalidated at all. You're right. But sometimes these moves, they might pull back a little bit more. Like we've seen that so many times.